Hi there, this is the second part of the dehydrating the peppers and the apples. Um, I did this at 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon and it's now 10:30, so it's had, where are we? 10 to 10, 12, about 16 hours roughly. Is that what it is? 10? Yeah, somewhere around there. So, I mean, it's supposed to take a day, but I think that was talking about peppers when they're bell peppers and sliced 4 ways. So you're putting in full-size bell peppers. Well, none of these are comparable to a bell pepper. These are all small and mostly thin-skinned. So I would imagine that this is about the right time. Some of these are brittle, as you can hear. There. Sorry, I'm out of camera and shaky. Brittle, but the taste is still there. Anyway, so some of these are going in a bag now. Yeah, taste is good. And this is the apples, and the apples are supposed to be leathery. That's probably about the thickest slice. Excuse my hand. And it's leathery, and it doesn't want to break, so I think they're perfect. The apples are where they're supposed to be at, so I think I'm gonna stop everything. The only thing I did notice with some of the peppers where they curled up, like this one, is leathery. I think it's probably okay. It feels like it might still have some moisture in it. Feels a bit plump still. But I think it's probably where it should be at too. Some of these are probably too dry, and that's probably where it should be. So I think that's it. That's my we will consider that a success. I think they were all hot peppers in there. They were all sweet. I guess that one of the things I learned was don't cut them too small, otherwise they almost disappear. Cut big chunks, so it seems as though inch and bigger, inch by an inch is the minimum, I would say. Probably 2 inch by 2 inch if you can get it. So their suggestion of quartering a full-size pepper is probably, and that might take a full day, but you'd end up with a bigger piece. Although these small pieces will be good for soups and things, so they'll rehydrate well in soups. So I'm going to say that that's done. The apples are, and as far as you can see somewhat the difference. Not really a lot though. This one's browner. I put lemon juice on the top of this layer, but I didn't do the underside, and it's not really that much difference. In fact, that one's browner. So the lemon juice didn't make a lot of difference at all, really. There's one. See, that one's lighter underneath with no lemon juice. But it might just be that they're cooked more, if you like. That may be that they're actually starting to cook. Let's see if this one's brittle. No, it's pliable. So, yep. So these are just going into freezer bags. I'll label them. I've got to try and remember one thing that I did. I couldn't remember which ones were the hot and which ones were the and because they lose their shapes, it's hard to tell just from looking at them which are the hot peppers and which are the sweet. So I'm gonna have to try and remember which was which, and well, maybe tasting some. Let me try one here. See, this one's probably a bit too much. It's brittle and it should be leathery. That's sweet, so that must be a Nardello. It retains quite a lot of the flavour. It doesn't lose the flavour, so when it's rehydrated, I would imagine the flavour would come back. That was a Jimmy Nardello. It was sweet. I should find a hot one and see if there's any heat. Actually, I think. Whoa! And it's terrible. Yeah, that one is definitely very. I think that one actually could do with a little bit more. That's the one I said was plump. Can't tell. Eat the whole thing. No heat, so it must be. Maybe they lose some of the heat. Anyway, I will figure it out. I'll do an update if I find that the hot ones are. Actually, that one's got, yeah, it's got a little bit of heat. Starting to come out of it now. I'll do an update on whether the heat is a lot less when it's hydrated. So that's all for now. I will go through these trays, and if there's any that I feel need a little bit more, another hour or so, I will put one tray or whatever it takes back in for an hour. Anyway, that's it. So the peppers do hydrate. They do seem to hold their flavour well, and that last one definitely was a hot pepper. It's creeping up on me. So that was from this tray. Okay, so this is hot peppers. This will be espalettes, and yeah, I think this was all espalettes. So not a lot of heat though. I'll have to try a couple more. They're actually quite tasty. I thought it would take all the flavour out of them, but it hasn't. And the apples as well. It's kept their taste. So that's it. That's my dehydrating experiment done, and I would call it a success, and we'll use it more often now that I know how it works. And the only thing I would say is cut your pieces a little bigger, otherwise you end up with next to nothing. They look like they're big when you put them in. You can't do much about the tips of peppers, but you can see what happens to them. They kind of roll up and almost disappear. but I guess they would reconstitute fine in a soup. So that's it. Thanks for watching. Bye for now. Hi, back again. I just thought I found some information in the book that kind of enlightens me. The doneness of the peppers. It says there's two different ways. You can have it brittle, or you can have it leathery. And it's saying for hot peppers you want it brittle, so good and dry. And I guess that's because it would powder better if you were going to run it through the a coffee mill or something. Excuse me. And leathery if you want to use it to reconstitute, to put in soups and things, or to eat as a snack. So that's kind of the difference. And this, I showed this yesterday, and this is actually a herb tray. So it just sits inside, and I guess it allows the hot air to come through. But if you get it to the point where the leaves from herbs get crispy, it doesn't. You don't lose too much of it through the screen on the plastic on the other trays. So that's what this is. It's a herb tray, and that, of course, I showed yesterday as well as the fruit roll-up tray. So yeah, I think I'm going to be getting some use out of this, because that's a segue into this. I was drying some, naturally drying some basil leaves, and these are at, some of these are dry-ish, still not breaking, so they're not dry enough yet, they're not brittle. These are what I would say are at the leathery stage, so you can bend them without breaking them completely. So they need a bit more, and that's the driest. And then there's some of these bigger leaves. You can hear it's getting dry, but it still bends. It's not brittle yet. So I would say for herbs you want it brittle so that it powders. That's probably not far enough yet. Like this one has still got some moisture in it. I can bend it and shape it. It doesn't break or anything, so it needs more. But in the instructions for the dehydrator it just says overnight is usually enough to get leaves dry. So I'm going to try that next. This is me just drying them naturally at room temperature, and these have been drying for a week and they're still not brittle yet. So our house temperature is around 68 Fahrenheit, and so it takes quite a while, and that's one of my problems with drying things naturally, is that it takes so long to dry them that you can get a bacteria build up, and some of peppers especially, they go black and you can't use them. And I would imagine that the leaves are just as prone to do that sort of thing. So I think an advantage I'm hoping for with the dehydrator is that because it's much faster, there's less chance of a bacterial build-up on the surfaces that causes blackening. But that's the hope. So anyway, I still haven't got around to bagging all these yet, but that's on the plans in the next few minutes. So I just thought I'd show you the basil leaves that are drying naturally, and that holy tray, which is a herb tray, which will be, I might, if that works nicely, I might even get a couple more of those if they're still available. So anyway, that's it. Just a summary. Leathery for reconstituting for soups, and brittle if you want to use them for powders. So brittle would just mean a full day, you know, a full 24-hour period for thin peppers. So it definitely works, and look forward to using it again, trying other things, maybe even jerky at some point, although I don't know whether I want to use meat in a vegetable. I think if I was I'm quite happy with jerky made in the oven at low temperature, so I don't think I will use jerky in this. I don't like the idea of raw meat in something that's used for vegetables. But anyway, that's it. That's my update. It's a bountiful time of year. I have tomatoes and peppers coming out of every crevice at the minute. And I even have some of the house tomatoes, the little green ones, ripening. And outside is a riot of red and green. As everything's ripening nicely. That's it. That's my update on the dehydrator. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.